Developing breeds of excellence.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Soaring Eagles, where we develop breeds of excellence. Today we'll be talking about a very important topic. And trust me, as always, we have an amazing guest in the studio who will be doing justice to our topic today. Okay, before I introduce our guest, I would like us to get on quick with some very important facts. So, according to the World Economic Forum, in 2022, it's speculated that by 2025, 85 million jobs will be displaced by AI, that's artificial intelligence and automation. And at the same time, 97 million new roles will emerge. Amazing fact, right? Okay, so our topic today is staying relevant in a rapidly changing world. You would agree with me that our world is indeed rapidly changing. With me here in the studio is Mr. Emmanuel Okoye. Welcome, sir. It's so good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so please just tell us one or two things about yourself before we go into what we are going to do.
Okay. I'm Okere Emmanuel. I'm a full stack software engineer. I'm co-founder of Journeysoft Digital Solutions Limited. I'm actually the CEO. I'm also the co-founder of another startup, Zumatech, where I'm actually the CTO. I'm also an entrepreneur.
Wow, amazing. Nice to meet you. So, like I said earlier, we got the right person. He's fully well into technology, IT, and all of that. I'm sure he'll be discussing everything we have here today. Okay, so sir, with the complexities we have in our world and then the fast changing world and everything, what does relevance mean to you?
Well, relevance to me means being in a situation whereby no matter how things tend to change in terms of whether it's in the industry, in the educational sector, you are important. People can't just do away with you. You're just someone who, at every point in time, people want to reach out to you for one or two things. People want to get you involved in things because obviously you are relevant. You're important to the situation. There is something you have to offer. There is something you can actually give. This kind of like there's something you need. The potential you have, the capacity you have, or the skills you have that people are willing to kind of pay for, or they're willing to subscribe to. So for me, that's relevant.
Okay, thank you so much. So you're saying that at every point people can find you useful.
Exactly. That's what relevance actually means. Because if someone is not relevant, for instance, nobody gets to talk to you. Nobody gets. Okay, let me give an example. A madman, in its sense, might not really have relevance, and that's why hardly people want to do anything, and then they want to contact a madman or want to get a madman involved, whatever we do. So there's a saying, I grew up in Jos and I happened to be in Jos when the first crisis happened. And you discover that when crisis happen, there are particular kind of people that get involved with such, right? You see, most of these people will call area boys or stubborn boys.
Exactly.
They're the kind of people that get involved in those situations. I remember my dad saying something, said that when crisis happen, it's only those kind of people that can be used. Those kind of people are the people who go out there and then, go to do all those things, whether fight back, protect, and all those things. So at that moment, those people are relevant. So in a situation whereby, because of course most of them they're into drugs, most of them don't work with their normal senses. But at some point when there's no crisis, you see those people, nobody's even interested in it. That's not to say that I'm encouraging violence or I'm encouraging people to go. But what I'm saying is, you see, that particular period where there's those crises, those people are relevant. And when those crises are not there, nobody needs them. Nobody wants them. There are less people who care about them, who want them to be involved in other things that profit or benefit their lives. So otherwise, you can't really see them. So when you talk about relevance, it means that when something is when people are looking for something, you're always there, or you fit into solving that particular problem, or you can have one or two things to contribute to make the situation to go away, or kind of solving the problem.
Thank you so much, sir. So it means that being relevant is having solutions to things as they unfold. When there are situations that needs your use, they can find you use for that point.
Exactly,
Thank you, sir.
exactly.
Okay, so we'll be discussing about our world that is ever changing and evolving. Now, I remember back then in secondary school, while I was in JSS 3, our practical, they we had to use typewriter. I don't think I've seen typewriter now. So
Yeah.
as at that time, people that could use the typewriter were relevant at that time.
Mhm.
And then at this time now, people that could use typewriter are not relevant. So I think the people that are very good with laptops, system, Microsoft, and all of that. So what values should we build to stay relevant?
Now it's a very important question. And then now let's just go back in time. Some years back, you see, where in those there were era of, they call it agrarian era, where people more like, you see, most people who are farmers, who are into agriculture, are more like the rich people, right? And then you see them having a lot of people working on their farms, or like cotton farm, rubber farm, and all those. And I think those days were where slavery kind of thrived more, because most people buy those people to use them in their farm. So those people who own those farms in that era, they're considered to be rich people then. Then after then, we came to industrial era, whereby has to do with industry. So more like people have industry and they could employ people, put them in the factory to do one or two things like that. And things like automobile industry and all those. So, but down the lane, coming to our generation today, we're now into what we call like internet era. But as it is, we call it internet era, is gradually phasing into AI era, or we call artificial intelligence. So you see that things change, and then as things change and people are not aware, there's always sign to it. If you're sensitive, you will know that things want to change. And for most people who are able to change or adjust to what is changing, they tend to more like, survive. Now let's go to, I'm going to just use a particular example, maybe you're familiar with. Some years back, we have what we call To Go.
Okay.
Yeah, so when To Go came, and even before To Go, there is what we call BlackBerry, or probably in between, or maybe at the same time. I don't know which comes first. But you see, during BlackBerry era, somebody will just buy BlackBerry, and then if you want to communicate with the person, they say, "Give me your PIN, I'll ping you." Right. So, and the same similar thing is so happening with To Go. I just have To Go, and I'm able to connect with you with To Go, and then eventually things like WhatsApp started coming up, and you discover that BlackBerry and To Go gradually faced. Yes, it was more like in the same trend, but things change. Things began to change, and because To Go could not catch up with, and eventually To Go phased out. I remember growing up using this social media, MySpace. I don't know if you heard about it also. So my face was similar to Facebook, but eventually when Facebook came, Facebook have another concept. And before you know it, nobody uses. In fact, I don't even remember, can't even remember my I don't even know if they even exist. So one must be able to know the trend of how things are going. Of course, trend doesn't mean that they have to last. Sometimes trend just fizzle with time. But there are particular things, like when I mentioned agraria, industrial, there are things that over the time, because like I said, we're in the computer age and moving into AI. So no matter what you want to do with AI, you can't really take computing out of AI. So you see, those things are very, very important, because if you're able to follow and then you adjust with time, you'll be able to do what? You're able to catch up, and then you're not, you don't get, how do I put it now? You don't either get overwhelmed, or you're not kicked out of the market, or you no longer become relevant. So if you're able to, understand how these things work, then of course you adjust, you learn, and then of course that will make you to continue to be relevant in the
Thank
things.
you so much. So first of all, one of the values most develop is being adaptable.
Yes.
Be able to move as the trends are moving, and also being able to know what is happening, so we don't get overwhelmed on one aspect and then we don't get left out on the other aspect. Now, our targets here are young people. So how do we find our role? How do we define our role in this ever evolving and changing world Of course, we should develop values of being adaptable, being conversant with what is happening. So how do we find our role? How do we find ourselves in this ever-changing world?
Well, I'm going to speak from my experience with regards to this. Now, how do young people get to become get to know what's happening, become adaptable, and then flow with it? Now, first and foremost, I think it has to do with first in parenting, and then parenting, and also probably exposure. Then, apart from exposure, it also depends on the curiosity of individual. Now, when it comes to parenting, now an average young person growing up who is probably, it mustn't be from a rich home. It mustn't be from a rich home. A young growing person who his parents, right, are people who are, let me say, educated, for instance, and then probably, apart from being educated, is of course some people are educated, but they are not innovative and all those. So, and whereas we also have parents who are not really educated, but based on their experiences in life, they tend to like make sure that they expose their children to a whole lot of things. So now parenting, as it were, has a way of, now I've come to see this trend in a lot of young people. Some young people tend to like, because their parents have not been able to achieve or attain a particular kind of thing, they tend to like, in their own mind, this is not possible, so I shouldn't even try, right? But there are also some people who their parents have not been able to, but because of what they've seen in other parents, right, or another family, they are inquisitive. They don't want to. Like, I give an example. You have a classmate who probably during the holidays will go to meet an uncle, maybe in Abuja, or maybe probably travel abroad. And then you, obviously, because of your family, you're just situated in your maybe with your parents to spend the holiday with them. Now, after school, usually those days of growing up in school, when we return back to school, they'll ask you, write an essay of how you spend your holiday. So you see, those children, the way they talk about how they spend their holiday, right? The way they talk about the experiences, the exposure, can actually spark, curiosity in this person to want to. And sometimes the other person might not really bother. But what I'm saying parenting is that the kind of parenting you have tend to like either make you timid or make you inquisitive, make you willing to want to explore, or want you to want to be better and all those. So now, another angle is the people you interact with. Now, like growing up, there are people you interact with, and then when you hear what they do, the exposure and all those, this curiosity to want to explore and all those. There are a lot of things anyway, but the major thing is that people get to young people can actually do a lot of things, and like I mentioned earlier, individuals, right? So there are individuals who like, oh, this thing is not for me, this thing cannot be done. And I have another issue which has to do a lot of Nigerian youths these days are not quite patient, because the society have made it in such a way that an average young person, in his mind, success is just like, oh, I get money, I build a house, I buy a car, and probably the next thing is married. So it's for them, that's what some people count as success. And for another person, to him is that, how can I, live this life, and all I can brag about it, I bought a car, I own a house, I have a family, okay, my family is doing well, I could take care of them. So it's intent to make a lot of young people not to really focus and then, settle down to really know what they want to do. So it's a difficult thing, but I think it's not impossible, because having the right people to train and the right people to put in direction is also important, which is another problem, because a lot of young people don't want to submit to anybody to be mentored. They don't want anybody to guide them and put them through and say, oh, this is how to go about this is how to go, and this is how you can do this. And it's a big problem. They just believe that they on their own, they could, just go out there to do it. So in my opinion, I think that young people can actually be relevant if, for instance, they can commit themselves to training. They can be patient to submit to somebody to mentor them, especially somebody with so much respect. Someone they see that, oh, this person is into what I'm interested in. So it could actually help them to actually build relevance.
Thank you so much, sir. So first of all, the peer you move with, friends around you.
Yes.
My mom used to say something. Say if you have 5 friends who are thieves, you will be the 6th thief among them. So the peer you move with has a very long way to influence you, and then also parenting, and then also submitting to mentorship. Young people should be willing and ready to submit to people who would mentor them. Okay, we've talked about values to develop and then how to find ourselves in all of this. Now, there's another thing that is very common in this fast-paced world is staying authentic. A lot of people in the bid to explore, or not really explore per se, but in a bid to move on with the trend, they tend to lose authenticity. They tend to become somebody else. They tend to lose themselves. So in trying to meet up with the fast-paced world, in trying to move on with trends, in trying to stay relevant, how can we maintain authenticity?
Okay, I'll still go back to parenting again, because why I'm mentioning parenting is because parenting has a lot to do with some of these things. Now, I remember growing up, right? And then all I wanted to be was an electrical electronics engineer. And then at that point in time, my father wanted me to go into anything that has to do with medical related, either a doctor, a pharmacist. So at that early age, even in my secondary school, I could bring an electrical component, put 1 or 2 things, and then get something working. I remember building a car with matchbox, soap box, and then we'll put battery and then they get moving. So at some point after secondary school, my father said, well, I think I wanted to go into the line of pharmacy, kind of. So he was going to introduce me to one of his nephew or niece now. I don't know which one is nephew and niece. So I told him I really want to go back to school, considering I was passionate about school. I want to further my education. So not that my father had bad intention though. He has a good intention, but for me that does not really fit to what me as a person really wanted. So, and it happened that was when I finished secondary school. The year I was to write WAEC was when the first just crisis happened. So out of pressure and everything, my family was to relocate to my father wanted to move the whole family to the village. So, but my mom said no, that I can't move because we're already at the point of writing the exams. So it was a struggle, and then eventually my father gave in, and then in fact, the first exam I wrote was biological practical. I wrote that exam. I came from police station to school to write the exam. So eventually I finished. So, and he wanted me to go into all this. But I said no. So it became a very serious issue. So eventually we got to the village, and then my father brought the case in the presence of his elder and younger brother. I said, this is my first son. This is a challenge I'm having with him. And God being faithful, they told him, this young man said this is what he wanted to do. Just allow him to be. This is not what he wants to do. Just let him be. So eventually, I got admission at some point, started doing electrical electronics engineering, and then along the line, electrical electronics engineering introduced me to computing, where I had to be doing programming ICs, and then that was the idea of coming to do computer science, by the way. So you see, sometimes parents want, because this child is reading medicine, so I want my child to read medicine, and the more or less put pressure on that child. It might not be necessarily what the child wants, and then along the line you see the child struggling to, and you've already somehow twisted the direction of that child. And again, sometimes it's not even parents. young people, because of their desperation, oh, my mates are now in school, I need to go to school. So, and considering what is happening in Nigeria university now, you might just apply for law, they'll give you music.
Exactly.
And then somebody will now say, oh, why will I stay at home and wasting time? Let me just take the music. And then all those. And sometimes again, the issue is this person's child is doing this thing and is making money. I should just switch over and sometimes again, parents, they say Mr. A's son has gone to do this, have gone to do that. What are you doing? Go to him, let him teach you. The amount of unnecessary pressure. And if that child is not focused, and if that child is not more like, how will I put it? I'm not saying children should disrespect their parents. Like you can see the example I give. I respectfully told my dad this is what I wanted. And I was lucky enough when it was brought in the presence of his brothers, he actually supported me. But other people might not be privileged to have that kind of support. But it should be a way that you, as a young growing person, a young youth, should be able to respectfully present to your parents what you want to do. And it's quite unfortunate that most parents don't tend to agree, and you see those young people being frustrated. And most time, those youth can actually go to school, study what their parents want, and come and give them, and then start their own life. But of course, you know that you have actually truncated the growth. You've delayed that child. You've delayed what the child wants to do. So there are a lot of things that could actually, reduce or make a young person to lose focus, to lose attention. It could also be like we talked earlier on about peers, right? And then because, oh, I'm doing this, and then because your friend is doing that, you now say, okay, you want to join. And not because you're really passionate about it. It's just because, oh, influence is making money out of this, and there's pressure at home. Let me just join. At least I could bring something home and all those. So these are some of the things that can actually make a young person lose focus.
Thank you so much. As young people, pressures can make them lose authenticity, can make them lose focus, and then their peers, parents as well. Now we're talking about parenting. Now, as a young person, it is very, very important that first of all, you know what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yes, know what you want to do. And it should not be because your friends are doing it. Now we have this craze of get rich quick. Many young people want to just go into something because this is what is making money at this time. And it's very funny that you see some people today, they are doing this. And then after 2 weeks, something new comes up again. They've jumped onto that. And the next one again, something is coming up. They've jumped onto that because those are the things that are trending. Of course, we all know that the world is changing. Things are evolving, and it is important that we move on with the trend, but it's also important that we do not lose focus as we move on with the trend. Okay, so going forward, now we are in the era of artificial intelligence, like you mentioned. We are gradually moving away from the internet age. Of course, we're not displacing the computer out of it, but we're now moving to artificial intelligence. When I said initially that some jobs, about 85 million jobs, will be displaced by AI and automation. That's like 2025. That's like next year. Many people will be out of work. Not because they are not doing well, but because things have come on that could do their work better. And of course, if I have something that can do my work better, why not? It's going to save me money. It's going to save a lot of things. So what skills should we adopt as things are changing? We're gradually moving to artificial intelligence. Are there some skills young people should adopt? There's some things we should begin to pay attention to as we evolve.
Yeah, let me make this clear. There's this understanding that people, is it understanding now, or more like people are projecting it as saying AI would displace people from their work? I don't totally agree. For me, to be yes and no. Now, AI might reduce the number of people that might be working, but I don't really believe that AI is going to displace people. I'm going to just give an example. Now, no matter what it is, as an engineer, there are a lot of tools out there that you could use to generate code snippet, to do one of the things and all those. But discover that those AI tools are not intelligent enough to be able to give you exactly what. I'm just going to give an example. Let's say I want to design an application that has to do with what kind of example? What application can I use now? Okay, let me say, for instance, I want to design an application that has to do with management of students' results for primary school, secondary school, for instance. Now, I could I could use AI, you know, to design it, right? But the AI is going to give me a result based on the prompt I give to it.
Exactly.
Which means that if AI need to perform, it still need human being to tell it what to do. It still needs human being to guide it to doing what it's going to do. And so I would say that it's only those who are not able to use AI to do the jobs that might probably be replaced. Because now, if I say I give AI, okay, tell me, write code snippet on this application for me, AI may just randomly bring things for me. But if I don't have the understanding, so if I don't have understanding of how the code works, where to remove, where to add, where to adjust, you discover that it won't work, even though it has given me. But my ability to know what I'm doing, and then with the help of AI, it makes the work a lot easier. And I can fine tune the AI to tell you what to do. And the truth is, this the human being is actually the person who is going to bring the real life in. So AI is just like, it's going to help you to simplify the work. It's going to guide you to do it based on the prompt you give to it. But AI in itself cannot holistically bring out that, that's a solution as it were. So probably if I want to use AI, I might just use AI bit by bit, bit by bit, and which means also that I need to understand what the AI is bringing up and be able to know how to use it and then bring it back and all this. And I'm just using IT, for instance, because it's my area. So, for example, also, let's say I'm able to deploy to build the application. AI cannot be able to take that application and go and put it in the server for me, just literally like that. So, okay, so I still need to do some things to be able to put it, and then AI might have its own input. Now, according to other industry as it is, now we see AI building blocks, right? So it still need human being to guide it.
Exactly.
You still need human being to tell it, oh, you done, and all those. So like the summary of the whole thing is, it's actually those who are not able to use AI to solve problem, use AI to actually, solve their own problem are probably those that AI will displace.
Okay. So you're saying in essence that AI can displace some jobs and also create jobs.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so we have the era of AI coming to new areas of jobs will emerge, and of course people would lose their job because they'll not be able to meet up with the trend. So what are some skills that we should develop? Some skills for us to stay relevant as we're not moving into it, we're already in it as it unfolds. What are some skills we should develop?
Well, first and foremost, this is just a side note. I have this experience. Just a side note. I'm still going to come back to your question, the relevant skills we need to build. Now, we develop softwares, also train people on how to use those softwares, and most time discover that the people who are going to use this software are probably government staff, or maybe sometimes it might not be government staff, but some elderly people who don't want to even hear anything about computing. So when you are bringing it, they're already like, they cannot, I will not use it, this thing, they want to stress also. Why is it so? Because they are novice. Most of them don't even know how to even type. They don't even know how computer operates. Now, for you to be relevant in the industry, or to be relevant, it means that there are skills you need to learn. And the truth of the matter is that when you get busy, you discover that there are skills you don't even have, but in the course of the job, you have to learn them. I'll give an example. I'm to build a website, and then along the line, there are some things I need to incorporate into it. Let's say, for instance, I've been building a website and I've been sending email to people. Maybe somebody wants to sign up, I now send email to the person. And then there's this feature, okay, now, we don't want to use email anymore. We want to use SMS. Right? So, using SMS means now that you're going to go and look for a third-party SMS platform and then do what? Integrate it into your application. So, now answering that question of the skills to learn, it actually depends on what you as a person want to do. Now, if a young person wants to go into academia, for instance, now you understand that you need to be able to learn how to do research. You should be able to have the skills of reading paper, analyzing paper, and writing papers. So it's very, very important. So you need to learn that skill. So, because if you don't, how do you examine students? How do you even write your own paper for publication? So these are very, very key. And you also realize that in the course of writing this paper, there are tools you need to learn. For example, you need to begin to learn how to avoid plagiarism. You need to know how to begin to do, what is it called now? To use the right English. You need to also begin to learn how to citation references. So, for example, now if you for citation now, you could actually begin to use tools like Mendeley. For grammar, this you can begin to use Grammarly. Plagiarism, the other plagiarism software out there. So you could see that in the course of learning to write papers, you're beginning to learn how to avoid plagiarism. I mean, you're going to learn how to use the tools that are going to help you to filter and to know whether you've plagiarized somebody or not. So it depends on what an individual wants to do. I just give example in academia. For example, if somebody wants to go into computing, for instance, of course, it's not a must that you must have a computer degree. Of course, a lot of people from other areas they are even into computing, but there are basic skills you need to have. You must be able to know how to solve the internet. You must be able to know how to type. You must be able to know how to use editor. You must be able to know the basic of HTML, CSS. And these things just don't happen overnight. You need to take time to learn them. And then when you learn HTML, you learn CSS, you learn JavaScript, you begin to look, what programming language, for instance, for you to use for maybe for back end or whatnot, whatever you want to do. So over time, it depends on what you as a young person want to. You should be able to learn how to solve the internet. You should be able to learn how to do the basic typing, using MS Word on your computer or using Google Doc on the internet. You must be able to know how to use PowerPoint presentation. So these are the basics. Because obviously there's nothing you want to do now that will not involve all this. Now, we're streaming this now. Eventually at the end of this, you're going to take it into the studio to edit. So you have a software. You need a computer. You'll be able to understand how the software works to be able to do all those. So that's just it.
Thank you so much, sir. So in essence, you're saying that based on the area where you have a focus, there are skills that you
exactly
learn. But basically, you have just being a computer literate, at least be able to navigate what the computer is about, basic skills like typing, PowerPoint, Excel, and all of that. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Now, like I said when we started, I said I'm excited we're talking to you because you are into IT and computer people. So how do we leverage on technology tools? We have so many of them. And the beautiful thing is that we have tools that incorporate different aspects. We have one tool that we can use in education, we can use in medical field, we can use in engineering, in different aspects, in accounting and all of that. And another thing is that you mentioned something about selling your software or those things you're developing to people and they don't want to adapt to. They're like, this is hard work. You are coming to stress us and all of that. Now the good thing is that these things are there to make work easy.
Exactly. But they fail to understand
exactly, they are understanding these things are so people are feeling like these things are stressful. Now these things are not coming to replace the place of hard work, but they are coming to make us work smarter and of course save time and a whole lot of other things. So how do we leverage on these tools? Like I said, we have different tools in different areas. Now we are looking at students or looking at people that are working in the medical field, people in engineering, people in the banks, in everywhere. How do we leverage on these tools as the world is changing? How do we help ourselves with these tools that we have to make life easier for us and also not to be left out?
Well, again, it also depends on individual interest. I'll give example. A lot of us just go to Facebook, for instance, to just go and gossip.
Exactly.
A lot of us go to Facebook just to go and listen to what other people say, right? Just read what other people are saying, watch people's content, and then that's it. But in the same Facebook, some people are making money from it. For instance, some of the content you watch are being monetized by those people. And at the end of the day, they get money. some of the um, some of the people that you gossip with over the gossip on Facebook, some of them are influencers. They are being paid to gossip, to talk all manner of things,
Exactly.
and they get money. So the issue is, what do you do with the tools? What to do with the tools actually is what's important. And that's where the leverage comes in. I just give you an example. There are a lot of people in the country now, for instance, basically what their major business is just that they are just content makers. Where do they sell those content? Social media. Right? Social media. Either YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And they get to. So the thing is, based on what you are doing, how can you effectively utilize the tool at your disposal? Because you can't obviously use all the tools.
Exactly.
There are so many, and you can't spend the whole of your life trying to learn all the tools. So you could actually pick one and then run with it. Now, I did make mention of using Mendeley for referencing. Mendeley is not the only tool for referencing. There are other tools, but somebody can just pick Mendeley, learn how to use Mendeley, use it very well, perfect using Mendeley very well. So you're not leveraging Mendeley to do what now? For referencing. So another person could pick another tool. So for me, it's picking a particular tool that relates to, that will help you solve your problem or help you to promote your skill, knowing it very well, knowing it in and out. I remember watching just a video, and a content maker was saying that I think what happened was, it's like people would use her image as thumbnail in their video, even though she was not part of the video, and she was like, she's warning them for the last time they should desist from doing all those things. And there's a language that caught my attention. She said, well, people can do it on Facebook, but not on YouTube, because I know how YouTube works, and I can take you and bring you down on YouTube. But Facebook, I don't know how Facebook works. Why? She has been able to use YouTube to do her work, and she perfected the point that she knows exactly how YouTube works, and she knows her way around YouTube. So she's not stressing herself on how to use Facebook. But of course, it's possible in the future she can dive into Facebook, but she already have a particular tool she's using. So leveraging, you should be able to, based on what you need or what you want to do, you should be able to pick a tool, understand it very well, and know in and around it, and then utilize it to achieving what you want to achieve. Then of course, you shouldn't be distracted. Distraction can mean that, oh, I'm using, like, if I'm talking about an editing software, for example, now, somebody might want to say, okay, I want to start with Adobe Premiere Pro, and that person will say, no, let's use CapCut, and that person will say, no, let's use another tool. So somebody might just be using Premiere Pro and is very good at it, and then all of a sudden, I'm not saying you can't learn other tools, but what I'm saying is that to be able to understand how to use a tool very well to solving a particular problem before diving into others. It's just like somebody who wants to come into programming now. They want to learn every programming language. You want to learn PHP. You want to learn Python. You want to learn C#. You want to learn Java. Within 1 week, it's not possible. You have to just pick one. Leverage on the skill. Leverage on the ability to use one and solve a problem. Then when you are, of course, you being able to use one will not give you an edge. It will make even learning another tool even a lot easier and simpler. So that's just it.
Thank you so much, sir. So you should look for a tool that relates to your area of interest and be very good at it.
Exactly.
Be very good at it. Okay, so we've been talking about how to stay relevant, we talk about values to develop, skills we need to learn, and all of that. Are there challenges?
Of course, there are challenges. Obviously, there are challenges. There can never be a world without challenge, right? So, there are a lot of challenges, truly. And, okay, I'll just give this example. 2008, I found myself in Lagos and I was supposed to be doing my 1 year IT. So eventually I couldn't get a place to do my 1 year IT. So I decided to look for a work to do. So eventually I started dabbling. That's eventually when I got into internet. So what I was and before then, I think um, back in school when I was doing electrical electronics engineering, we're doing there's this electronic board we used to do. If you're conversant with Mr. Biggs of those days, those signboard that will be displaying their adverts. Yes, exactly. So I got into doing those, and then we started learning it. So I had two roommates then. One of my roommates had a desktop. I never owned a computer. I didn't have a computer then. So what happened is that, and he was very, very competitive because, as we're learning it, he will write his own code. So maybe a word will drop from up and down, from bottom to up. Some will come from center and so everybody was curious, want to. But of course, I don't have a laptop, I don't have a desktop. I have to wait for him to finish using his desktop. So maybe when he's tired, he has slept, I go over and use it. So I didn't have, so there's need for me to get what? A laptop. So eventually when I got to Lagos, I think sometime I eventually got a laptop. But that aside, now I was to go for a training. I was so interested in learning WordPress then to do something we call affiliate marketing in those days. So there was this guy and he advertised that he was going to train people. So he will train people, he'll bring a group of 3 people together and then train them. Then they will bring their resources together and then run the business. At the end of a particular month, when the things start, you can share the process. So now remember that I said I had the issue of computer. I'm still going back to the issue of internet. Please, if I forget, just remind me about that. So at the point, we're supposed to pay, I think, 7,000 naira for the training to join. So there was no money. I couldn't get the money. So I rallied around. I think I was able to raise the money. I can't remember I raised whether friends or so. I just know that I raised the money. And I got to the man's office and then the place was locked. And I called and I said, "Oh, I'm this is so person. You have once advertised this. Now I'm interested." Say, "Well, the offer is closed." Money limited me for an opportunity. That is not another one. Now let me go back to internet. So back in school then, basically because of the lack of internet, so what we do, we subscribe to night browsing. Just go to cafe, register. Around 10 we'll go, we'll sleep over. We would have prepared what we want to search and so forth on the internet, and then so we'll do all night browsing, and then the following morning we'll get back home, we'll get our flash drive, then I'll go to the house, plug it in my friend's desktop, and then we'll continue. But then there's this experience I had when I moved to Lagos. So there's this cyber cafe I used to go. So it happened that one day I just went there, usually to buy. I went there to buy time as usual. The woman said she's not going to sell ticket to me. I said, "What happened?" She said she doesn't want me in that cyber cafe. I was like, "What did I do?" So I didn't realize that she said that I was downloading too much stuff. So now you could see, as young growing people, there are tools that would obviously you need that would have made your life a lot easier, but because they are not there for you. So you could see my own story, but of course, those stories are even in those challenges and difficulties, God was faithful and we're able to get to where we are today, do whatever we want to. But I want to say also that today a lot of things are easier. Now, I didn't make mention of, for instance, using CapCut, for instance, to do video editing. You can use mobile phone. You can use your mobile phone to do complete video editing. You can use your phone to do video content. Right? So there are obviously a lot of challenges. But I think in this period, those days, you can't even buy smartphone. You don't even have smartphone. Yeah. Talk more of even having access to internet. Yeah. But today, with as low as 15 naira, you can buy 40 MB data. So the challenges, in my own opinion, have reduced from what it used to be before. But I think the major challenge now will be overload of information.
Yeah.
Overload of information, and then being consistent, being focus. Because of the overload of information, people tend to lose focus. People tend to like, oh, this one is not working. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's move to the other one. So obviously a lot of challenges, but I don't think that those challenges are insurmountable, because if I'm coming from the area before where you don't even have smartphone, those days more like we're using I remember one of those days I saw an advert on Complete Sports where somebody advertised that you can get free MTN internet. I had to pay for it to get the connection to work. I had to travel. I was staying at that point in time. I was staying in Ikorodu. I think I went to there's another local government after Alaba to meet the person too. I don't think a lot of young people will have that kind, at least with your phone. In fact, parents these days can even buy data for their children. I think some parents will even give their children allowance. Yeah, there are challenges, but I don't think the challenges are that much, apart from staying focused and then probably not being distracted.
So our major challenge is staying focused, was because we have a lot of information out there.
Yes, there are a lot of information.
You
Yes.
can just say, okay, let me just check up something on the internet. Then an ad pops up.
Mhm.
You click.
Mhm.
Something else pops up.
Exactly.
You click. And before you know, in 30 minutes, 1 hour, you're asking yourself, what did I really come here to do, and all of that. So staying focused is also a challenge. And in the course of listening out challenges, we are able also to talk about how we could surmount those challenges. Now, the challenge of staying focused, the challenge of limited access to resources. Of course, things are a lot easier now. Yes, a lot easier now because we have access to a whole lot of resources. I remember then there are some things, one of my lecturers gave an assignment and we were complaining. Then he said in their own time, they have to trek down to the library and go and borrow textbooks. And the funny thing is that the textbooks are limited. So if you don't go on time, somebody else has collected the textbook. And I think they have about 2 weeks or so to return the book. So imagine the assignment deadline is in 2 weeks. Somebody borrows it, returns it after 2 weeks.
Probably might not even return it, might come back and borrow it again.
Exactly, come back and I want to renew it. And he was telling us, you can just go with your phone. Like you have the library in your phone. Okay, so of course there are challenges, but like he said, they are not insurmountable. So as we conclude, we have discussed on a whole lot of issues, talking about staying relevant, and then we moved on to how to leverage on technology. We talked about AI. We also talked about challenges, and then we talked about how to overcome these challenges. Now, just one word to the youth out there who will be seeing this video. How do we stay afloat? How do we stay afloat?
Number one thing I would advise any youth out there, first and foremost, when you have an area you're interested in, first thing to do is look for a mentor.
Very important.
Very, very important. Look for a mentor, because there are things your mentor will, there are things that your mentor will do for you. There's a saying that people will say, how did they used to put this thing again? Let me try to remember. They said, it has to do with learn from people's mistake. Yeah. So they say learn from people's mistake. Right? No, they say I can't remember the word now. But I'm trying to get it. They said, how did they put it now? I can't remember the word now. It's in my leaves, but I can't really.
Experience being the best.
Yes, thank you very much. Experience being the best teacher. Now, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who is doing something, and then probably also have the same interest, right? Okay, let me just give this example. I remember back, I think, either early in 2009 or late 2009, I was looking for a place to learn programming, and then my friend and myself went to this training institute. And then, that time, they said, okay, if we want to learn Java, and other programs like that. Is the way they packed it. And they said, we're going to be doing it for 8 months and we're going to be paying 800,000 and it's going to be instrumental. Right? So, my friend did start the training. I couldn't afford it anyway. So he was able, his sibling were able to raise part of the money for him, and then he was able to, he started the program. So along the line, he couldn't continue. But I never went to any training school to program. And things I can do today, he can't do it. Yes, he can't do it. Now, I'm not saying that the school itself is bad, right? But you see, I see a friend who has paid over 300,000 to learn a program and could not succeed, right? And then I know he has made this mistake, and I'll still say, okay, let me go and have my own experience. Let me go and have my own learning to have the experience. When I already have somebody who have done who have already, in fact, he has even helped me solving the problem by helping me knowing that how this thing will feel. So that's what mentorship does. A mentor will guide you based on his own experience. And sometimes, like some of those skills we are talking about that they need, a mentor can easily make them available for you. So you need to get a mentor. You need to be patient. You need to understand that success can never and will never be overnight.
Yeah.
You need to understand that. So I give people an example. I said, when Facebook started, it was not the way it is today. When Amazon started, it's not the way it is. Amazon just started by just selling just books. Today, Amazon is one of the biggest. What is it? Just imagine if Jeff Bezos have just said, "Oh, this thing, I don't believe this thing is going to," and just pack up and go. So you need to be patient. Success takes time to build. So even when they're under a mentor, there are some things that you might be denied. There are things, sometimes you think that if your mentor is slow, there's something he wants you to learn. And sometimes you think that they are slow and you just jump. Most time they will leave you. When you go and make the mistake, by yourself, you come back and they will laugh at you and say, I told you. Or probably if I've insisted, you will not think maybe I'm too strict and all whatnot. So mentorship is very important. Now, being patient is very important. And then, whatever you're doing, consider long term. A lot of people tend to look at it, in the next 5 years, okay, and that's it. Look at it from the perspective of, how is this thing going to change life? How is this thing going to be? How can this thing, of what benefits, what I'm doing today, of what profit, or what benefit is going to add not only yourself, but to humanity? Because one of the problems we have today, especially in Africa, is that we're so much thinking about ourselves, myself, my family, and that does it. So also remember that there's always a time to give back. There's always a time to give back. So in as much as you're also growing, put in your mind that mentor that is mentoring you, a day is going to come when he's no longer going to be there. Will you also be fit, qualified, and ready to groom other people like yourself to take over? So it's very, very important. Mentorship, patience, focus, thinking about the future, not just thinking about your long-term goal, your long-term achievement. And of course, thinking about humanity. Everything shouldn't just be myself. Because I tell people, I said, if I sit down with you and I'm thinking of how your life will be better, and you're thinking about the same thing for me, I will not envy you, I will not jealous you, and they will not be correct. They will not be correct. But when I'm sitting down with you and I'm thinking of how to outsmart you, and you're also thinking about the same thing, if I get there before you first, you get angry. You re-strategize and want to get back to me. That is what has caused chaos in the world today. If we're able to see the world that all of us have our own part to play for a better goal of making the world a better place, then the world will actually be an easy place.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been an amazing time with you. So our viewers out there, one thing we must know is that the world is constantly changing. And if you're not able to meet up with the trend, trust me, you will be left behind. Now, how do you stay afloat? First of all, is mentorship. Very, very important. Mentorship. You must be willing and ready to submit to mentorship. Now, one thing mentorship does is that it shortens your journey. It shortens your journey. If you're supposed to have gotten there in 10 days with a mentor, 5 days, 7 days, you are there. Mentorship also helps you avoid the mistakes of others. Mistakes that your mentor has made. He will tell you, okay, no, I did this and it didn't work out. You do it this way. And then we must also learn as young people to be patient. We must be patient. And then we must think of giving back to the society. It should not just be about me, myself, and I, my family. It should not just be about your own good. It should be for the greater good of the society. I'll see you next time on the next episode of Soaring Eagles. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much for joining us.